Hi, I'm Phil from Driftworks. Welcome back to another episode on the 964 Turbo. So in the last episode where I finished up the intake pipe, this nice aluminium intake pipe here, I guess a lot of you were probably wondering why I didn't start it up afterwards, and there's a couple of reasons. One was I didn't have the final piece of the intercooler pipe work made up, which I have now, so that's all sorted, that can go back on. The other is that that was all filmed quite a while ago, and since then I got a bit carried away again. So this here and this here is another 8374 EFR turbo, but there's one small difference, and you won't be able to see it from here because it's got the intake pipe on, but this one has some letters on the back of it here which you may or may not be able to read, but basically it's an OCD Works T51r converted compressor housing. And why have I done that? Well, in the video where I finished the exhaust, which I've now covered, done some more heat insulation there as well since the last episode, so you can't really see it, but yeah, when I finished that exhaust and I tested it, I did fire up the engine just quickly. Didn't have an intercooler pipe on, so it wasn't running perfectly, but it just didn't sound very turbo-y. It was very efficient sounding and yeah, a little bit disappointing, and I know it will probably come into life a little bit more on boost and make a bit more of a row, but yeah, I think as I mentioned at the beginning of the series, actually considered doing my own conversion to do a sort of T51r mod. I wasn't entirely sure whether I wanted to go for it or not, because some of them, I don't know, on the videos that I've seen, some of them sound a bit too much. But yeah, having heard how quiet this was, this actually just came up for sale on a Facebook group, which was really cool. It was already converted, and in the UK, it had a really seriously dented outlet on the compressor housing, and I can't even remember where it is now. But yeah, anyway, it was almost folded in half. So I've had to spend quite a bit of time making that the correct shape again. I just used, excuse the mess, that off my wheel balancer, a bit of heat and basically in the vise, and just basically drove that into it, you know, professionally with a big fat hammer, and then it split ever so slightly, so I had to ask Craig to do the tiniest of tiny welds. Come on, I've tidied this up too well, obviously I can't tell where I've done it. I think it had a little crack here, you can probably maybe just see it there. And basically, I've spent quite a bit of time just making sure it's completely round again, completely smooth on the inside, and yeah, kind of so you'd never tell. So that was a good morning's work. You'll see that it also has a lovely Turbo Smart BOV block off, because I don't need a blow off valve on it. And also where on this one you can see the vacuum port is there, I've just blocked that off with an aluminium bolt for the moment. I had to tap that bolt to M8x1. But yeah, so now that I've got this and it's kind of ready to go on, my plan is to just very quickly just start the car up, see what it sounds like, just so there's a reference, then fit that, do the same thing, see whether there's any difference, and then I can kind of put the car back together and possibly go for a little run in it. Right, going to see what it sounds like with the standard compressor housing on it. Jay's doing a bit of welding behind us, so if you hear any funny noises, don't worry. Well, maybe don't worry. So yeah, the exhaust sounds great, the inlet not so much. I was just about to start filming taking this off, but I'm going to do one thing first. On the last couple of videos, like every 5th comment was, what's the left tailpipe for? Is it a dummy? And yeah, I'm so used to looking at this, I completely forgot to mention it. But yeah, I'll just quickly explain to you how the whole exhaust turbo system works. So, exhaust outlets on the engine are underneath because it's a 911, and you've got basically 3 either side. On this side you can see 3 swooping all the way along, joining here, like merging here, and then joining into a single pipe which goes into half of the divided housing for the T4 housing. And then on the other side of the engine you've basically got the same thing, and they're kind of, I think, pretty sure they're pretty equal length. I'm not sure they're exact, but yeah, they're different left to right because the turbo's offset, it's on the left side of the car. So yeah, that merges into there, goes into the other side of the flange for the T4 flange there. Off these pipes, so obviously above that is the turbo. You can't see it because I've put the heat insulation in the way now. But above that, that's T4 flange, above that is the turbo. Off each one of these banks, if you like, left and right banks, you've got another pipe, and they're joined together, they wire together, and then they come down here to the massive HKS wastegate, and then off that wastegate, when it dumps, basically it goes across over the top of the runners here, and then along to its own exhaust here. So yeah, Promodet awesomeness explained. So back to replacing this. Quickly show you the differences here. So, original anti-surge looks like, yeah, I don't know whether you can see that. So it looks quite different there if you look at that. Let's put that down that way. Compared to the modified version, which has these parts here. And looking at it, it's actually a slimmer pathway as well. I guess I don't really know what it is that actually makes the noise specifically, but I'm guessing it's kind of reduced airflow, maybe more like a whistle. Who knows? Well, actually, lots of people know, just not me. Again, back to that side, it's much lower down, and this comes right the way up to the end here, to the nose of it, and that is what, roughly 4 mil, something like that, and that looks more like maybe 6 mil all the way around. Only other differences are, yeah, standard blow-off valve, Turbo Smart block-off for EFR series, and yeah, port and no port. So yeah, let's get this one on, see what it sounds like. This time with hose clamps. Right, all done, and I just remembered the other question that people had, which was, how does this work? How does the scavenge work from the drain of the oil out of the turbo there? And basically this line goes up and over and back to the standard scavenge pump, 964 turbo scavenge pump, because it's a dry sump system. That's there anyway, so yeah, it's a really nice little setup. Okay, I'm just going to start that up under the same circumstances, camera in the same place, see whether it sounds any different. Not be able to hear that, there is a subtle difference. Quite happy that it's not like a ridiculous loud row, because that was what I was really worried about. Hard to tell. Jury's still out on that one. Not sure if it sounds super cheesy, ricey, I think as it's called in America. I'm probably just going to put the back bumper on and just drive it home this evening, just to see what it sounds like. Obviously I can't go absolutely caning the shit out of it, because it's not mapped for gigantic turbos. It's going to need bigger injectors, probably a new ECU, intercooler, things like that. But for phase one, if I just turn the boost controller off, I've got Turbo Smart boost controller in the car, I should be able to, do a little bit and see what sort of row it actually makes on the road, and whether I can deal with it or not, whether I like it or not. So yeah, we'll do that. First thing I can do is fit the pre-charge filter for the K&N, which I've got now. Just quickly show you the shielding, because this was another question that came up quite a bit, was how's it going to get airflow if the filter's behind there. As you can see, there's like holes at the top here and loads of space around the side, so yeah, it definitely won't be restricted there. The only question is, how wet it gets if I drive in the rain. I'll just drive it, see how dirty that pre-charge filter is after a few miles, and if I need to change it and duct something or redirect water, I'll do that. Right, I've unplugged the solenoid for the boost controller. Hopefully that's enough to not throw rods through the side of the block. Or I suppose it's actually up and down, isn't it? It's not the side on these engines. But yeah, let's just go for a drive and see what it's like. Well, that sounds fucking dumb. I absolutely love a lot of the noises, lifting off throttle, stuff like that, but the fucking whistle, it sounds like one of those, I imagine it sounds like one of those kits that you buy for a non-turbo car off eBay, make your car sound like a turbo. It's horrific, really, really bad. Not a fan. So yeah, I've got to come up with a plan 2 basically for another plan that I had. Was the original one was to basically weld up the anti-surge completely. So I might be returning to that idea, we'll see. Watch this space. Let me know what you think in the comments. Yeah, as always, make sure you're subscribed and give us a like if you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time. Thanks very much, bye.
At Driftworks, we've helped over 50,000 happy customers since 2004. Our huge online parts store is simple to use, with superb shipping rates to anywhere in the world, and finance options available for UK customers. We live and breathe wheel fitment, so if you have any questions about your own car or any of our products before placing an order, please drop us an email at shop@driftworks.com or give us a call. Thanks for watching.